maybe an intro to this video. This is going to be a lot of talking, and so don't think of it like a video that you're going to sit here and watch. It is what it is, right? It just involves a lot of talking and explaining what I'm doing. Not so many videos of me doing it, because it requires two hands and it requires me doing things I've never done before, and so I kind of want to pay attention to what I'm doing and not film every little detail, right? So that, be advised. You can maybe put this on in the background. Think of it like a podcast, something like that. I don't know that I have fully explained this process. So you probably know I do the Gambler 500, right? And I've got my cheese. There's the Gambler 500 cheese car. And so with the Gambler, if you're not familiar, we drive around in rural parts of whatever state. So like Kansas does theirs in the spring, and then Missouri does theirs in the fall typically. And we drive back roads and pick up trash. And so the Missouri guys do another event. There's a series of events, right? And so there's another one called DeRiverance, where basically we get boats or whatever, silly boats, and then float the Meramec River and pick up trash, kind of a similar concept. Part of the fun of the event is coming up with a silly boat, an unconventional boat. And so I've been thinking about doing it for a long time, but I've not come up with... Jackson County has weird boat laws, but whatever. So I've considered doing like a barrel boat. That's kind of guaranteed to work. There have been like horse trough type boats. There was another bigger car bed boat. I've seen people, there's all kinds of things you can do. Anything that'll float. Their rules are like no oil barrels, no exposed foam like styrofoam, because if you hit something, it's just going to get shredded and there's going to be foam everywhere. And the whole point is to clean up trash, not to make trash. And so that's kind of how this started. And then I bought this bed. Now I'm trying to get it looking like an actual little boat. And so we'll see. What's going on, party people? I have bought Tikes car bed. It came assembled with some wood, and so first step is taking it apart. So that's what I'm doing now. And the wheel, so you got to pop the little Tikes cover off to unscrew the hubcap, and then you can pull the whole wheel. I don't know if I'm going to put the wheel back on. I think it's just dead space. But this might look goofy without it. Even if I painted a wheel on there. I don't know. We'll see. So when I pop this off, yeah, it just is splitting. It's old plastic. And I'm not, trying to be gentle. It's disassembled. But you'll notice there's a bunch of holes in it. I'm thinking expanding foam to just kind of fill those voids, and then maybe put some kind of JB Weld or something over that. I got the grade stuff filling in. Kind of something I didn't realize, but these use a little peg that goes up inside that hole, and so that's potentially going to be a problem when I go to put this back together. I'm going to have to carve that out, notch it out. It could turn into a problem. Also, this is you can see right there, LDPE plastic, which is like low density polyethylene or something. I don't know what it is, but I haven't looked into it much. But the high density, the HDPE, is a real pain in the butt to work with. And so I don't know if that's also true of the low density stuff. I would assume. Running a super scientific test here. What's going on, party people? Let me see if I can't zoom out. So you're just gonna have to watch part of me, or maybe I'll put this audio in the background of me working on a boat or something. So, little boat update. But before I get to little boat update, I first have to say there's two sides to me when it comes to many things. One side of me says, this doesn't matter, it's not important, it's just a goofy thing. Don't spend money on it, just whatever. If it floats, it floats. If it doesn't, whatever. It was a fun little thing to do. But the other side of me says, anything worth doing is worth doing right. And so I've got this like inner exceptionalism, like it just has to be done right. We got to do it as best we can, not necessarily regardless of cost, but, you know, spend a little bit of money. Make it nice. And so, I mean, it's not going to be a luxury yacht. Like, let's get that out of our mind. I've started to... You learn so much when you do these projects, and that's how I choose to look at it. It's not wasting money on a silly toy car. It's learning about, you know, nautical terms and buoyancy and expanding foam and different types of plastic and all of that. So it's a learning experience, not just a colossal waste of money and time. So that being said, time, not a lot of it. I've only got less than 2 weeks at this point. And so getting something functional but also gonna float is high on the list. So the foam, I started and I tried to just fill the holes, and I don't think is going to work. I think I'm going to have to completely fill the void. I'm going to have to totally fill those to really make them as water resistant as possible. You get to learn about expanding foam. And so these 2-part expanding foam liquids they come in different weights. They're used for, you know, shaping taxidermy and things like that. I went with the lightest 2-pound option, which is designed specifically for buoyancy in like canoes and kayaks and things like that. And so that's going to be arriving later this week. However, you have to, the way the two chemicals work, it has to be above, I think the minimum's like 75 degrees. And it's a rainy, dreary, cool day. It's 56 degrees right now. But Saturday is supposed to be 75. Sunday, as of right now, it says 81. Today's Tuesday. The other thing I've learned is the plastics are different materials made of different things. They have different properties, right? My boat is made of LDPE, which is like a low-density polyethylene or whatever. I don't know what it is. LDPE is what it's made of, which means it's like the Teflon of plastics. The PE part, there's low density and high density. The PE part is the nothing sticks to it part. And so I was thinking, well, I could JB weld it. I could use some expanding foam. I could use... there's this marine sealant called 5200 that's like super permanent, and everything I've read's like, yeah, that nothing really sticks to LDPE outside of some very specific industrial sealants, and which are expensive from what I can tell. Also, you could hot glue gun it, but you got to buy like a 22-pound case of these special PE hot glue sticks for like $200, and that's also where I'm kind of drawing a line. I'm like, not doing that. PE plastic can be welded, is what they call it, where you basically melt the plastic with a soldering iron or a wood burning tool. They make special, welding pieces, make little welding rods, and then you can melt the plastic and melt new plastic into the existing plastic, and that'll form a bond. And so I'm like, okay, that's cool, kind of neat. The holes, some of them are like just a small screw hole, which is like whatever. I'll seal that up, run a screw through it, and the screw should be sufficient to fit the plastic that it's not going to be a problem. And there's foam inside, so even if water does get in a little bit, it's not going to just immediately sink. Green grade plywood's expensive. I was going to use the wood that the lady gave me as kind of a template, but I'm glad I didn't, because it is way wrong. Hear me out. That chair was made to go right there. I don't know. Next level goofy. Cutting the deck. I think we're just going to have to be happy with perfect. Oh, let's do it. Test. Weight test. Oh. Oh, yeah. Rock solid. Oh. I don't know about rock solid, but solid enough. We'll see once I hit the rapids. Carboat build update. Not much progress done. So we've got the foam coming. My first maiden voyage, in theory, is a 7-mile float. I don't want to tempt fate, and so I'm going to try to weld it right. So we got the foam figured out. We got the welding semi figured out. Again, it's not really figured out. We're just going to learn. Third, we got the deck already cut out. The deck's looking good. I think once there's foam throughout the hull, I can just shoot some stainless steel screws through the top of the deck into the actual rail of the hull, and I think that'll hold fine. I've got some spar varnish, or spar urethane, is like marine finish for boat decks and stuff. It's almost like you're trying to learn thousands of years of information in a 2-day, like, it's impossible to learn everything there is to learn about boat sealing and finishes and varnishes and urethanes and lacquers and all the nonsense. Given my limited research, and I get it, there's probably, there's gonna be someone in the comments that are like, you should have used teak wood, and it's like, oh, okay, whatever, I did what I did, and so I'm gonna sleep in that bed, and none of it's permanent, right? Like I said, I'm just gonna screw it down. If it doesn't work, I'll just unscrew it and put something else down there. Doesn't matter. Not a big deal. It's just for funsies. There's a million different options for finishing it, all the way down to just using exterior paint. It looks like spar varnish or spar urethane is as good a stuff as any. I don't know how slick it's gonna be. It may be slicker than snot on a brass doorknob once it gets wet. And so I'm kind of also thinking about doing some like external carpet, like boat marine carpeting. I think the marine carpet would also really complete the look. Which brings me to the next part of the deck. Well, before the deck, I've ordered some handles for the boat, so it's easy to pull in and out, and probably towed if I need towed. Which, I don't know, maybe. The next thing is the chair, the seating arrangement. I did put like just a rocking chair that I had, a camp chair on it. That's just being silly, which is fair because that's what the boat's about. But I think I'm gonna need a lower seat. It's got to be something comfy. I kind of don't want it to have arms because I'm gonna be, paddling, and so if I don't want to be hitting an armrest the whole time. So I thought about doing like a 3.5 gallon bucket with a lid. If I could make storage out of it as well, I wouldn't be mad about that. The lower the center of gravity, the more stable the boat is. But the higher, the more, it's got to have a certain amount of height so I can actually paddle over the sides of the boat, basically. I don't know. I think a 3.5 gallon bucket might do the trick. And then some kind of base, like a bucket holding base to keep the whole thing from wiggling around, sliding around when I'm hitting the rapids. So, I don't know. And maybe the carpet would help with that as well if I carpet the whole top of it. We're just making it up as we go. But I know there's certain things that it's like, okay, I don't want to be sliding around. So maybe some marine carpet's in order. But also, I don't want to get stuck. So having a way to pull the boat, some recovery points would be good. Also, let me say, this is probably far from a budget build. You could probably do it cheaper, but for whatever reason, I decided I'm going to make this as close to proper as I can. And so I'm not going to say I've spared no expense, but at the same time, it's definitely not cheap, that's for sure. And so, be advised, if you're thinking you can just buy a $40 car bed off of a marketplace and then try to float it, maybe you could, but I'm putting a lot of time and money into working this thing out so it'll float. Not only float, but hopefully it'll paddle well. I don't have any kind of keel or anything directionally figured out yet. There may or may not be. I don't know. We'll see. We're going to sand this thing down with my Spam can sanding block, and then hit it with the spar varnish, or the spar urethane. First coat is on. I hit it with a little bit of the alcohol to clean it up, and then just kind of brushed it on. It said don't go too thick, give it 4 hours. I did the edges this time around, but there's some bubbles, which I tried to avoid, but whatever. Like I said, I may be covering that in carpet anyways, so at least this will seal it from the water. Let me show you my first plastic weld job. Yeah, it wouldn't. I tried to do them end to end, but that wasn't happening. And so I said, well, let me just do top to top. And it seems like it's going all right. So in this test, I poked a hole in this cap, or I shot a screw through it actually, and then I kind of just smeared some welding stick on there, and it's holding water. Alright, so I've got a caffeine-free Diet Pepsi here, and this cap. Don't try this at home. I'm what you call a goofball. We're going to shake it up and see what happens. Nothing, but that's kind of scary. We're going to leave it over there. Alright guys, for this test I drilled a pretty decent sized hole in this cap, and it's holding a bottle of water, so I'm giving it a squeeze. So it's okay. Hear me out. Marine carpet. Backside has some spar urethane on it now. Nice. Oh, got a little thick right there. We're going to be putting on some of these track mounts for action cameras and stuff like that, to make the boat look legit. So I'm going to try to pre-drill some holes. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Got the back plate on. Got the front plate on. Here's the bucket I plan to use. I don't know. Ideally, I'd like to put these on the sides. Maybe I'll just put them down on the deck. Because realistically, it's just going to be for like cup holder. But I do have a paddle holder accessorized. Yeah, this is slicker than snot. I'm glad I decided to get carpet. Let me throw the carpet in there. It is coming together. So the boat's coming together. I got a fin. This is a 12-inch fin. I'm thinking, so if you look down here, see those 3 lines? I'm planning on putting this guy obviously right in the middle, but I'm gonna mount it to the deck here-ish. When I ordered the fin, I thought it came with the track this slides in, but it did not, so inconvenient. This is also real stiff, so hopefully we don't hit anything and break that off. But you know, we're gambling. So anyways, the carpet's not perfect. I can keep trimming it, but I think once it's screwed down, it'll be fine. Which brings me to my next point. These tracks I put on. I was thinking this track, I've got 2 of these longer ones. Here you can see they're one section longer. I might put these up here. Sorry. I might put these up here just to like hold, you know, my beverages, stuff like that. I think, if I had to guess, I think the boat, I don't think it's going to sit flat. I don't know though. We'll see. I suppose, because I think the back is going to be a little more buoyant than the front. Well, I don't know. We'll see. It is coming together. It's goofy, but it's coming together. Added a grab handle. I wanted to put it here, but those holes are too big and it wasn't going to reach. And so added a grab handle to the back as well. Haul this pig in and out of the river. What's going on, party people? This video, or series of videos, I don't know, I'm just recording videos, right? Has been kind of all over the place. But it's fun to make a homemade silly boat kind of thing. So that's what I'm doing. First step, other than accessorizing, because that's the most important, is making sure the boat is actually going to float, which is why we've got to fill it with foam. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our flotation foam, mix the 2 parts equally in there, put them in a Ziploc bag in this gallon bucket, mix it up with a stir stick, cut the corner of the bag and dump it into a hole inside the hull. I didn't know at the time, but it expands. I want to say it, oh geez, look at all that small print. Ain't nobody got time to read all that. But it expands to roughly 20 times its size, give or take. So the 2-gallon kit should fill whatever, 40 gallons, which that's nowhere near 40 gallons. So yeah, I probably have way too much. But we'll start by mixing a small amount, and then we'll just see. So today at 3 p.m. it's going to be 73 degrees and 56% humidity, which is evidently a factor. It should be below 60%, and the temperature should be above 75. So I clipped off some little pieces and then just put them around there, use the heat gun to initially melt them. Then I'm going to come back with the melting tool and melt it more. Yeah, that worked out really well. I cut this stick down into a thinner strip, and that worked much better. I think that's going to work. So I only have 4 of those plugs left, but I've got, so there's 3 holes there, 3 holes there, 2 and 2. So I'll be able to do these 2 and 2 on that one, but I need more plugs, right? And I've looked on everything plastic I own, and an unbelievable number of things are made of HDPE. So like this, see the two HDPE, quarter oil, 2 HDPE. Everything is HDPE. Here's a red Solo cup. It's 5, made of PP. So I know what you're thinking. Did you find, these are probably like coffee can lids or number 10 can lids. These are LDPE. So I'm going to cut these out to make plugs for the remaining ones. Upon closer inspection, this side here didn't really get melted, so I'm going to try to touch it up. But first I'm going to try this LDPE number 10 can lid on a soda bottle lid. Dare I say that was the easiest one yet. I don't know if it's because practice makes perfect, or if that plastic's just so thin it melted really quick and it just, I don't know. Let's test it. Here's the progression of HDPE to HDPE. Went okay. It held. This was the LDPE welding rod to HDPE. It was alright. It didn't do so well because I'm just using that rod to try to fill a hole. Whereas this was LDPE to HDPE, and I just set one of those on top of the hole and melted around the outsides of it. Small amount of drippage. PE plastic, and so normally spray foam, once it gets on, it's like, man, that's stuck. But this is going to scrape off like no big deal. It says it's 80.8 degrees, 51% humidity, which means this is about perfect. Let's get to it. Let me say that I don't plan to film myself doing this because I've never done it before and I don't want to screw it up, and so I don't want to be worried about jacking with filming or anything of that nature. I just want to mix it and get this right. Maybe if this first batch goes just perfect, I'll film the next one. We'll see. So I'm going to try to fill in this hole, but I'm going to try to angle this so it fills this low spot first, and then I also want to angle it so it rolls down to this side and fills in a uniform manner. And so as long as the bottom gets filled first, then I can add more later. On my little quart here, I might go 12 ounces. So I did the 12, and I don't know, that side's a mess. I can't tell. It maybe only filled it halfway, which is weird. I would have thought it would have expanded more, but who knows? Who knows? It's a science, not an art. For this one I did 16 ounces. So we'll see how it goes. We shall see. Well, I tried to do 16 ounces for these long ones. Didn't move quick enough, and it turned into an absolute disaster. But it's a learning process. So I think what happened is I fumbled with trying to zip the bag up, and it just wasn't zipping. So I spent 10 seconds or something just jacking with trying to get that. And so I think what I'm going to do is stop doing that. That'll save me 10 seconds. It also, I'm trying to pour it into these tiny little holes, and it's like, it just, once it starts expanding, it doesn't want to go. And so I'll have a pretty neat little failure. Look at it. This one is foaming up good. You might even, yeah, look. Well, you can't see it, but I can see it. This one doesn't need too much more to be set. This one, oh man, that's hard. I don't know. That one's still foaming over there. This one's not very full at all. Probably shouldn't have welded that, but I was wanting to practice. That side is fairly empty. This is solid right here. This is all rock hard. That's hard. This is hollow. That's hard. That's semi hollow. So I think I'm going to use the cans of spray foam to get up in that hole to really fill these areas. This one I still got plenty of room. That one I just topped off with the can, and so you can see, so we've got maybe a little less than a quarter of the gallon left. This one is done. You can see it's popping out over there. I did what I could over here. It's popping out of that little hole there. This one is done. Still needs some. I just poured 12 more ounces in there, or 24 ounces, I guess. And that one still needs work. I think I'm going to use the rest of this on this one. This end is solid, but only up to about here. So I've got, oh, that's semi-solid. Oh, that's solid too. This one doesn't have too much to go. Yeah, this is all, yeah, there's an opening here. I'll probably pour the rest of the 2-part mix in here, and then maybe hit that with the a can of foam. And then if I need more, I'll have to go get another can of foam, but we'll see. So there's the first one I did. I think these turned out really good. This one's fine. This one's gonna need some love. So I gotta touch that up, and then obviously I gotta wait for this to fully cure. See, it's soft. So that one I just poured some more in. I've got just a little bit left. This one I just did, and clearly I did way too much. It's hot. I know it's like, you know, supposed to be 75, 80 degrees and, you know, low humidity. But when you're out here mixing up batches of foam, you're sitting in the sun, it gets hot. I've found these lids work infinitely better than the welding sticks I ordered. I've just cut the rim, and I'm just using this as a welding stick, and it works really well. And so, is it 100% sealed? I don't know, but it's, I think, better than nothing. Even if there's a pinhole with the foam, that's gonna really slow it down. The foam just helps displace the water, so when, not if, but when water gets in, hopefully it won't fill the hull and sink me. Won't scuttle the boat. Let me say, this is also a messy process. I'm sure I'm doing a bunch of little batches, and so I'm using more plastic bags and stir sticks. I'm using a new stir stick every time, and so put down plastic. That's smart. That plastic gets hot from both sitting in the sun and the foam heating up. Here, let me show you. This was early, right? It's got a little bit of crunch to it, but yeah, that's here, let's stand on it. No big deal. Support my weight. So I've waited a couple hours, ripped that off. That's still super gooey in there. It's gonna take a long time. I dumped another can. This part was still hollow, so I dumped another can of spray foam in there. Now I'm gonna sand this up, hit it with the little welder, I guess, 3M. These are gonna be a trick, but I'll see what I can do. Are we gonna win any welding awards? I can't imagine, but is that gonna keep water out? I bet it does. I bet it does. And then these, decided not gonna weld those because oh, right here I got a bunch of these. Once again, not winning any awards, but whatever. Can you say you're working on something if you don't burn yourself at least once? We'll keep a track on this finger. It's gonna be bad. Last piece done. Just finished that one. This thing should be about ready to go. I am waiting on Ice Pack. Who dis? I'm waiting on the lock nuts to fully assemble it, but then life will be good. They should be here today, but I don't know. It looks like it's fitting to rain, so we'll see. Recap for the day. The boat filled with foam. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give it an 8. It could have gone smoother, sure. But for being the first time I've ever done anything like that, I mean, it's filled with foam. I would say 90%, at least 90% filled with foam. So it's as good as you could expect for a first timer. I did spill a bunch. I did learn a lot. So next time I build a boat, bet it'll be 100%. Next, we've got the washers showed up. The big holes have been plugged and welded. Only burned my finger once. Also, I cut myself on this knuckle somehow. So I'm officially working on blood, sweat, and tears. Sweat, for sure. Blood, a little bit. As far as tears, that'll probably come on the day I put it in the water and it sinks straight to the bottom. That will be time for tears. The lock nuts were supposed to show up today, but they haven't. They're not here. And so I think I'm going to be done messing with it for today. Tomorrow's agenda, or maybe we'll call it part 2 of the video. We will get the nuts, the boat. So the foam, still parts of the foam aren't fully cured yet. So I'm ripping the pieces off and it's going to keep continuing to harden. And so I will clean it up, any of the excess stuff, sand a little bit more, try to get some of the excess foam off there, and then run a long drill bit through the holes to try to center everything. And then I assume those nuts are going to be here tonight. I'll fully assemble the boat and isolate each panel from the next one. And then once it's bolted together, it'll be rock solid. And then I can mount the deck. The fin needs mounted to the deck, but like I said, the base was missing for that. I thought it came with it, so I had to order a base. That should be here tomorrow as well. So then I can mount the fin, obviously screw the deck down, carpet, the bucket. Oh, that's right. I need to go get foam from Hobby Lobby. I was looking for foam, and I could order some really nice foam, but it wouldn't be here until June 2nd, which is after the DeRiverance. And so I said, well, maybe I can get some foam locally. I know the Hobby Lobby tends to have that kind of thing. And sure enough, Hobby Lobby has that kind of thing. Not only do they have it quite a bit cheaper than ordering it. And so I said, I'll just get it from Hobby Lobby then. I plan to get a little piece of plastic to put on the back so I could screw a, not a license plate, but just like a name placard. I'm calling it the bedtime barge. I think that's a good name because, 1, it's a bed. 2, kind of shaped like a barge. So it's appropriate. Anyways, so I went to use my little Cricut machine. The last time I used it was for the Gambler 500, the Kansas Gambler. I made a stencil, and for whatever reason, it just didn't work. And so I called tech support, and they were like, oh, you need a power cord. So I ordered a power cord. That should also be showing up tomorrow.